Hello, and welcome back to Mastering English Podcast, the place where we break down English for you, moving you past that tricky intermediate stage.
Good to be here. We know exactly where so many of you are right now.
Oh, yeah.
Stuck in that frustrating limbo. You're a passive genius. You understand everything you read or hear.
But then you have to speak.
Exactly. The active part.
That is the quintessential B1, B2 struggle, isn't it? The intermediate plateau.
Yeah.
You know the feeling. You can watch complex documentaries. You can read these dense articles. And you have this huge, reservoir of vocabulary and grammar just stored away.
It's all there. You've built this massive, incredibly organized library of English knowledge in your brain.
But then you're standing in line at the coffee shop, and the barista asks you something simple.
Or you need to jump into a fast-paced team meeting.
And your mind it seizes up. You feel this profound disconnect. You know the answer is in there somewhere.
But the connection between the knowledge center and your mouth, it seems to have a massive speed bump on it.
A huge one.
And that gap, that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about today. The gap between understanding and actively producing language, spontaneously and smoothly.
So that's where fluency is built or broken.
We think the core reason for that plateau is a fundamental misunderstanding of what fluency actually is.
Yeah.
It's not just an academic achievement.
Okay.
It's a physical and a neurological skill. You have to train both the brain and the muscles of your mouth.
I love that. So we're approaching this like a performance training regimen. We're giving the brain a major software upgrade.
And putting the mouth through, essentially, physical therapy.
That's the mission today, then, giving you the systematic, practical protocol to finally bridge that gap.
And in this deep dive, we are going to unlock the secrets to sounding not just grammatically correct, but genuinely natural.
Which means?
Mastering what professionals call real talk, which relies heavily on how native speakers connect, drop, and reduce sounds in rapid speech.
Okay, before we jump into phase I, let's tease our pop quiz just to get your internal linguistic processors running hot.
Let's do it.
We're going to be talking about words that look the same but might be pronounced completely differently depending on their role in a sentence. So, here's the quiz question for later.
Listen closely.
If two words are spelled the same but have different meanings and sometimes radically different pronunciations, like bow, the ribbon, versus bow, the front of a ship, what is the technical term for that?
We'll test you on that later on. Keep that in the back of your mind.
Understanding those tricky word structures is a huge part of expanding your vocabulary for fluency.
It really is.
And before we get into all the details, here's your first tiny task. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Mastering English Podcast and like this deep dive right now.
It really is the single best way to help us reach more learners who are struggling on that same frustrating plateau.
Okay, let's unpack the core problem. Where do we start?
Let's start with a solid definition.
So everyone says they want to be fluent, but if fluency isn't just about speaking fast, what does it truly mean from a neurological standpoint?
That's a fantastic question because so many people confuse fluency with accuracy. And they are two very distinct skills.
Okay, break that down for us.
Fluency, for our deep dive today, is the ability to communicate your thoughts immediately, clearly, and without undue hesitation.
Immediately. So the emphasis is on the speed of activation.
Exactly. How quickly you retrieve the right word and the efficiency of the delivery. It is not fundamentally about perfect grammatical precision.
But wait, hang on. If I'm not accurate, how can I be fluent? Isn't accuracy the foundation we need? I'm sort of challenging that a little.
No, that's a critical point to raise.
Yeah.
Accuracy is the foundation of correctness, yes.
Yeah.
But high accuracy doesn't guarantee fluency.
So you can be a grammar expert, but a slow speaker.
Totally. You can have C1 level grammar knowledge, but still have low fluency if your delivery is painfully slow. We're focused on moving that knowledge from the meticulous, slow library part of the brain into the fast, automated highway part of the brain.
Okay, that clarifies the goal. It's all about flow and retrieval speed. Can you give us an analogy to make this more physical?
Absolutely. Think of fluency like typing without looking at the keyboard.
Oh, I like that.
You know where all the letters are? That's your grammar and vocabulary knowledge, your accuracy.
Right.
But your fingers, or in this case, your mouth and your brain, they move automatically. You don't have to consciously think about each letter.
That is extremely relatable. When I first learned to type, I had to look for T, then H, then E. It was so slow, so much effort.
Exactly. That slow, high-effort process is what we call low fluency. Now, imagine a high-accuracy learner. They might take 5 full seconds to retrieve and articulate a complex grammar structure, like the subjunctive mood, in a conversation.
And even if they get it perfectly right.
That delay, even if the eventual output is grammatically flawless, completely kills the natural rhythm and flow of the conversation.
And that 5-second delay is where the listener checks out or the conversation moves on, and you're left feeling, well, stupid.
The goal then is automatization.
Automatization.
We need to make all those language processes, retrieval, conjugation, syntax, so automatic that they demand minimal conscious effort.
So what's stopping the brain from reaching that speed? You mentioned there's a primary constraint.
We call it the translation trap. This is the subconscious, deeply ingrained habit of generating a thought in your native language, or L1.
Okay.
Mentally translating the words, checking the L1 grammar structure, and only then converting the whole thing into English.
Wow. That sounds incredibly taxing. L1 thought, check L1 rules, translate, check English rules, then speak. It's like a 5-step confirmation for every single word.
It creates a massive unnecessary delay, and fundamentally, it massively increases the brain's cognitive load. This is the one habit that our sources say definitively kills your fluency.
Okay, before we move on, let's drill down on that term, cognitive load. A B1 learner might just hear that and think, stressed? So let's spotlight this one.
Great idea. This is a crucial M2 term to understand. Cognitive load is the total amount of mental effort that's actively being used in your working memory at any given time.
So it's not just a feeling, it's like quantifiable mental energy usage.
Exactly. When you're in the translation trap, you're forcing your brain to run 3 programs at once: holding the original thought, executing the translation, and preparing the motor output to speak.
Ah, so it's a specific measure of your brain's resources, not just a subjective feeling of pressure. It's the bandwidth you're currently consuming.
Got it.
Yeah.
And the result is slower processing and less capacity for other things, like listening carefully or choosing a more nuanced word.
Can you give us a few different examples to really get it, like 5 different contexts?
Of course. Let's start formal.
Nice.
Example 1, formal. In a business meeting, a high cognitive load can hinder complex problem solving because the working memory is already overburdened.
Okay, that makes sense. How about a casual one?
Example 2, casual. I can't listen to you explain the plot of that confusing TV show while I'm trying to parallel park. My cognitive load is maxed out.
Ha! I've been there. A funny one.
Example 3, funny. Trying to assemble IKEA furniture while 3 children ask you why about everything in the universe increases your cognitive load exponentially.
It certainly does. What about a historical context?
Example 4, historical. Imagine the immense cognitive load on early explorers trying to navigate by the stars while also managing a ship in a storm.
Wow, yeah. And finally, something more philosophical.
Example 5, philosophical. Some argue that the goal of meditation is to minimize cognitive load to allow for clearer, more intuitive decision-making.
That's a fantastic range. Now let's do that extended scenario role play. I'll describe a situation where I really felt that load.
Perfect. Use the term cognitive load to diagnose the issue.
Okay, so I was in this virtual meeting recently, right? And the speakers were using all this highly technical industry jargon, and I was trying to follow their complex argument and trying to take specific notes, and I was also trying to formulate a really important follow-up question in my head. I just felt completely overwhelmed.
I can picture it.
My speech became jumbled. I started stammering when I tried to jump in.
That is the perfect manifestation of severe, excessive cognitive load. You were juggling auditory processing, dense information interpretation, transcription, and higher-order linguistic synthesis to prepare your question.
So my memory buffer just crashed. I completely forgot the critical question I wanted to ask.
It's the linguistic equivalent of trying to run 20 high-definition videos on a slow laptop. The system slows down, it freezes, and eventually the resources fail.
So how do we talk about this naturally? What are the common word pairings, the collocations?
Great question. We often talk about having a high cognitive load. The goal, especially in learning, is to reduce cognitive load. Good managers learn to manage cognitive load in their teams.
Okay.
We have to avoid excessive cognitive load, and more academically, you might hear about intrinsic cognitive load.
That last one sounds important. Intrinsic load. What's the nuance there for a B1 listener?
Intrinsic load is the difficulty of the topic itself. So if you're learning about quantum physics, the intrinsic cognitive load is high.
But the translation trap adds extrinsic load.
Precisely. But here's the key nuance for everyday conversation. While intrinsic cognitive load is a useful term, you can usually just say mental effort or brain power for maximum clarity.
Got it. So phase I is all about eliminating that translation trap, to reduce all that unnecessary extrinsic cognitive load.
That's it. Phase I, cognitive restructuring. We are aiming for the English-only zone in your head.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we dismantle this translation engine? It sounds like it's buried pretty deep.
It is, but we can reprogram it. It starts with a technique called visualization as a conceptual bridge.
Visualization.
Instead of hearing the word apple and immediately thinking of your native word for it, you force your mind to conjure the image of the shiny red fruit itself.
So if I hear the word dog, I immediately see a fluffy, barking animal in my mind's eye, not my L1 word for dog.
That's it. You're training your brain to associate the English sound directly with the concept. It forces a direct thought-to-English pathway, which drastically reduces the steps for retrieval.
That's powerful because it forces you to, live inside the meaning of English, not just its structure.
And we reinforce this by using only monolingual resources. This means eliminating the L1 crutches.
Like bilingual dictionaries.
Exactly. Use English-to-English dictionaries. When you learn new vocabulary, you must focus on the definition and the context in English. This builds the entire language framework internally.
That is tough advice, but it makes complete sense. If I never see a definition in my native language, I'm forced to integrate the new word completely into the English system.
And fluency isn't built primarily in conversations. It's built in the low-pressure, high-repetition environment inside your own mind.
So training your inner voice.
Precisely. You start by consciously dedicating specific daily times, even just 5 minutes, to thinking only in English, building the English-only zone.
How simple do we start?
As simple as possible. Start by just naming objects around you: door, chair, light. Then increase the complexity. Form mental sentences about your daily actions. I need to finish this coffee before I leave.
That keeps the barrier to entry really low and the complexity manageable. I like that.
Right. Then we move to active mental drills. The first is observe your surroundings. This drill forces immediate, real-time retrieval of words, which is essential for that automatization we talked about.
So right now, I could be internally narrating. The studio light is bright. I'm tapping my pen on the table. My co-host is making a really good point.
Exactly. Your inner monologue becomes a continuous, active practice session.
What's next?
The next drill, which is highly recommended, is picture description. You select any picture from your phone, a magazine, anything, and you mentally narrate its contents for 1 to 2 minutes, nonstop.
Why is that so effective, just describing a picture?
Because the visual input anchors your attention and forces you to use diverse vocabulary and grammar. You'll use present continuous for actions, prepositions for location, adjectives for description.
All without the pressure of a real conversation.
You've got it. And finally, the daily recap journaling.
In your head.
Yes, mentally. This is one of the most valuable, low-pressure activities you can do. At the end of the day, you mentally replay the entire day's sequence of events and conversations in English.
Ooh, that forces you to practice complex narrative forms, like all the tricky past tenses.
And reported speech in a context you fully understand because you lived it.
That's brilliant. If I had a disagreement with my manager earlier, I can replay the whole scenario in my head, but this time with perfect English responses and flawless past tense.
You are harnessing real-life input for active language production.
Okay, we've trained the brain to skip L1. Now, how do we stop sounding like we're just combining flashcards and start sounding, natural?
This is where we must move from single words to collocations. This is the non-negotiable step for sounding fluent.
Okay, stop right there. What is the difference between a collocation and an idiom? They both involve multiple words, and this is where B1 learners often panic.
That is a crucial distinction. We need to pause and drill down on this M2 concept immediately.
Let's do it.
Okay, an idiom is non-literal. The meaning of the phrase has nothing to do with the individual words. Like, it's raining cats and dogs. You can't guess that meaning.
Right, it's a puzzle.
A collocation, on the other hand, is simply a natural, highly predictable word combination that follows English logic, even if it doesn't translate word for word.
So not a puzzle, just a predictable pattern. They're like the building blocks of natural phrases.
Exactly. Collocations are word pairings that occur together frequently and predictably in natural English. For example, we make a decision, we don't do a decision, we have heavy rain, not big rain.
But if I say big rain, everyone understands me.
They understand you, but it sounds slightly awkward, a little stilted. And that stiltedness is the opposite of fluency. The sources really emphasize that using collocations is crucial for eliminating that sound.
So what types should we focus on?
Let's start with the essential types, like verb noun, take a risk, and adjective noun. Strong coffee.
Okay, let's integrate some powerful examples. Let's do the 5-example loop.
Perfect. Let's take the idea of making a decision. Example 1, formal. The board of directors must make a decision by Friday regarding the new budget.
Totally predictable pairing. Casual.
Example 2, casual. Ugh, can't decide what to watch. You make a decision.
Funny.
Example 3,
Funny.
my toddler has to make a decision between the blue spoon and the red spoon, and it's treated with the gravity of a UN summit.
Huh. Yes. Historical.
Example 4, historical. In 1776, the Continental Congress had to make a decision that would change the course of history.
And a philosophical one.
Example 5, philosophical. To be free is to be able to make a decision based on one's own values, not external pressures.
That really covers it. Now let's try to use a bunch of these in an extended role play. We have a difficult presentation tomorrow.
I'm in. Let's talk about this proposal. I'm feeling the pressure.
Me too. This is a genuinely heavy workload. I hope you were able to make an effort on those financial projections last night.
I was, but I'm worried I might make a mistake during the live Q&A. I think I need to take a risk and ask for a 5-minute break before we start.
That's probably a good idea. We definitely need to pay attention to the audience's body language.
Right. But before you make a fool of yourself by panicking, let's just take a break and grab some coffee. We have to take responsibility for delivering this smoothly.
Agreed. And that little scene shows how natural conversation just relies completely on these established pairings.
It's all invisible rules.
So, quickfire, give us the 5 most common types of these crucial word partnerships.
Okay. We make a mistake. We take a photograph. If you're sick, you catch a cold. Students do homework, not make homework. And you absolutely must pay attention.
And the nuance we discuss is that because these don't translate directly, you just have to memorize them. You have to override that instinct to say big rain and learn heavy rain.
Internalizing these chunks through repetition is the only way to move them into active automatic usage. And that, again, reduces your cognitive load when you speak.
Okay, that wraps the cognitive part. We've trained the brain. Now for the physical side. Phase 2, conditioning the muscles of your mouth.
Right. This is the physical constraint. Speech is a motor skill, and we need to focus on the articulatory apparatus.
Whoa, that sounds incredibly technical. Let's drill down on that. What exactly is the articulatory apparatus?
It's just the physical equipment you use to produce speech sounds. It's the whole system. Your mouth, your tongue, your lips, and your jaw.
Okay, that's clear. So we can mostly say mouth muscles to keep it simple, but the technical term is articulatory apparatus. Why does training these muscles matter so much?
Because your mouth muscles are conditioned by the sounds of your first language.
Right.
If your native language doesn't use, say, the English R sound, your tongue is physically conditioned to move somewhere else. So when you speak English, those muscles need to learn entirely new placements and movements.
It really is like weightlifting for speech.
That's the perfect analogy. My L1 might require very little jaw movement. So when I speak English, which needs these broad mouth shapes for vowels, my face literally gets tired.
That's precisely the constraint we're addressing. We are physically retraining the articulatory apparatus.
Can you give us a powerful example of this physical necessity?
Think about the famously difficult English F sound for words like thick and thin.
Oh, yeah. Many learners' mouth muscles are conditioned to keep the tongue tip behind the teeth, which produces a T or S sound.
So they say tink instead of think.
Exactly. To produce the F, you must physically push the tongue between the teeth to create that friction. It's a physical re-education of the muscle.
So it's a muscle problem, not a brain problem.
In that case, yes. It requires physical muscle memory that only repetition can build.
So what are the collocations we use when talking about this?
We talk about how to train the articulatory apparatus. We emphasize the need to condition the articulatory apparatus. We look at articulatory constraints when discussing limitations.
Okay.
We practice specific articulatory movements. And ultimately, we aim for flexibility of the articulatory apparatus.
Okay, time for the gym routine. How do we start physically warming up these mouth muscles?
We start with exaggeration. The warm-ups involve slow, exaggerated movements. Open your mouth wide like you're yelling at someone.
Okay.
Then slowly form a tight pout or a duck face. Stretch your tongue in all directions. Gently lower and raise your jaw.
And exaggeration is key because it forces the muscles out of their L1 comfort zone.
Absolutely. Then we focus on vowel sounds. English has a huge, complex vowel system. You have to practice the 5 long vowels. Ah, yeah.
As in ape, easy, I, over, usually.
Yeah. And you hold each sound for 5 to 10 seconds like you're holding a note in a song.
I can feel the tension in my lips and jaw just holding a long O sound.
Yeah.
That's the feeling of new muscle memory being built.
That's the work. Then you do isolation drills. Repeat consonant sounds like ba-ba-la-la-la-la or mu-mu-mu. And for comprehensive practice, you combine all known consonants with all known vowels. This is the heavy lifting.
Okay, so once the muscles are warm and flexible, we move to precision work. You said this requires us to enunciate.
Yes.
Why is enunciating so much more important than just talking louder?
That's a crucial distinction. Enunciate means to pronounce words clearly and distinctly. It's about clarity, not volume.
So it's about crispness, like the difference between a high-definition image and a blurry one.
Exactly. Let's do the 5-example loop for enunciate.
Let's do it.
Example 1, formal. The politician was praised for her ability to enunciate complex policy details, which eliminated any misunderstanding.
Okay, casual.
Example 2,
Ah,
casual. Could you please enunciate, I can't understand you when you mumble.
funny one.
Example 3, funny. I tried to enunciate clearly while eating a mouthful of crackers. It did not go well.
Historical.
Example 4, historical.
Oh.
Early radio presenters were strictly trained to enunciate every single syllable for clear broadcasts across the airwaves.
And philosophical.
Example 5, philosophical. The effort we make to enunciate our thoughts reflects our desire for genuine communication over mere noise.
That's great. And when you struggle to enunciate, the words just run together indistinctly.
Which is why tongue twisters are ideal. They force your mouth muscles to perform rapid, distinct, alternating movements.
Okay, let's do the classic tongue twister roleplay. She sells seashells by the seashore. That one always gets me, with the S.
Okay, hit me with it. Try it fast. Don't be afraid to fail dramatically.
She sells sea by the seashore. Oh, it's a mess. I completely lost the difference between the sh sound and the z sound.
I heard it. A total stumble. Now, to fix that, we don't practice for speed. We practice with exaggeration.
So slow it down.
Way down. And over-enunciate the difficult sounds. Force your lips forward for the sh sound and pull them back for the s. You have to physically feel the difference. Try the sound slowly. S-H-H-H. S-S-H-H-H.
Okay, forcing the movement. S-H-H. 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 Okay, forcing the movement. S-H-H-H-H. S-H-H. Ace is S. Cells. Seashells. Back. Seashore. That felt deliberate, almost ridiculous, but I didn't stumble.
That deliberate practice is exactly what you need. You are training the articulatory apparatus to execute two similar but distinct movements rapidly and correctly.
Okay, what are the best collocations for discussing clarity of speech?
We talk about the importance of being able to enunciate clearly. Learners are often forced to enunciate when addressing a group. We work to overcome difficulty enunciating specific sounds. We encourage you to practice enunciating daily, and we study the consequences of a failure to enunciate properly.
And what about minimal pairs?
They're essential. Minimal pairs words differing by only one sound, like ship and sheep or bet and bat. If you mix up ship and sheep, you need to drill those until the long I's, S, and short sounds are automatically distinct in your mouth.
Okay, so phase 2 ensures the physical production is fast and accurate. Now, phase 3, integrating that with the flow of native speech, prosody, and real talk.
This is where we stop sounding like we are reading flashcards and start sounding like a person having a real conversation.
That's the goal.
Even with perfect grammar and accurate pronunciation, if your rhythm and intonation, your prosody are wrong, your speech will still sound halting. The source material emphasizes a core concept here. English is a stress-timed language.
I hear that term constantly. Let's make sure we dissect this M1 concept thoroughly. What does stress-timed language actually mean?
Let's use a comparison first. Many languages are syllable-timed, where every syllable gets roughly equal time and prominence. It's like a steady beat. Da-da-da-da-da.
Okay.
English is fundamentally different. Our rhythm is determined by the regular occurrence of the stressed syllables, the important words.
So the crucial stressed syllables carry the beat, and everything else is just squished in between.
Exactly. Stressed syllables, content words like nouns, main verbs, adjectives, are said longer, louder, and often with a higher pitch.
And the unstressed syllables, the little function words,
You get reduced and shortened to fit between those main beats.
Give us that M1 analogy of music.
Think of English like a drum solo. The stressed syllables are the heavy, regular drum beats that set the pace. Boom, boom, boom.
And the unstressed words.
They are the quick, quiet little grace notes you barely hear, stuffed in between those big beats. Boom, da boom, da boom.
This is the difference between saying, I looked in the car, versus the robotic, I looked in the car.
The unstressed words almost disappear in the natural flow. And that efficient reduction is what allows native speakers to talk rapidly while still maintaining perfect clarity.
Rhythm is something you have to feel physically, not just understand intellectually. So how do we internalize this beat?
We use physical movement. First, the movement activity. You physically internalize the rhythm by clapping or snapping or tapping on the stressed syllables of words. Apple, computer.
Go home. Have a seat. That physical sensation helps align my body with the linguistic beat, making the rhythm feel more unconscious.
Precisely. Then there's the bouncing ball activity.
You literally bounce a ball.
Yes, you bounce a ball precisely on the stressed syllables of a sentence. If you say the function words too slowly, the ball will hit the floor before you say the next stressed word.
That's a brilliant tactile way to practice efficiency. Speaking of efficiency, the reduced sounds.
We have to talk about the most common sound in English, the sound that makes this whole stress-timed rhythm possible. The schwa sound.
Let's drill down on this tiny sound. Why is the schwa sound so important for fluency? It's just an sound, right?
It is the absolute cornerstone of natural English rhythm. The schwa sound is the unstressed, reduced vowel sound pronounced
As in the E in problem, or the first A in again.
Yes, and because it's used whenever a syllable is unstressed, it is the most frequent sound in the entire English language.
So whenever a word is sped up and reduced to fit the rhythm, its vowel often just turns into that weak, lazy sound.
Exactly. And mastering the schwa helps you avoid stressing the wrong syllable, which is the single biggest giveaway of non-native speech.
Can you give us a relatable example?
Think about the word banana. If you pronounce the unstressed vowels fully, banana, it sounds harsh and unnatural.
But if you use the schwa,
It's burinu. The first and last vowels are reduced to that weak yun sound, and it flows naturally.
let's use that fun example you mentioned, the schwa song, to show how pervasive this sound is.
Okay, listeners, try singing along to the tune of The Wheels on the Bus. The schwa sound is in pizza and sofa. Pizza and sofa, pizza and sofa.
The schwa sound is in pizza and sofa. Do you hear it? I hear it. The final A in pizza and sofa isn't a strong a sound, it's that weak sound.
The simple act of reducing that final vowel makes your pronunciation instantly more natural.
What are the collocations for this?
We discussed the unstressed schwa. We need to learn to pronounce the schwa naturally. We note the widespread use of the schwa. We practice schwa reduction. And we identify the schwa in common use.
And the core nuance is that if you master the schwa, you automatically get closer to the native rhythm because you stop stressing syllables that shouldn't be stressed.
You've got it.
So we know the rhythm and the reductions. Now, how do native speakers get that hyperfluent speed that makes learners think they're speaking a totally different language?
That's connected speech, or what we're calling real talk. Native speakers use these efficiency patterns, linking and reducing to maintain flow. If you, the learner, don't adopt these patterns, your speech will always sound a bit halting.
So we have to learn the rules for how sounds change at the boundaries between words.
There are 3 core mechanisms we use to create this fluid, continuous stream of speech.
What's number 1?
Rule 1, dropping reduction. This is losing sounds or syllables. The classic is contracting verbs. I would have gone becomes I would have gone.
Which often sounds like would of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or dropping the T in a word like don't when it's linked to the next word, I don't know, becomes, I don't know.
So we contract and reduce to keep the quick short beat for function words. It all serves the stress-timed rhythm.
Rule 2, connecting linking. We join words into fluid chains, and this changes the sounds. This is where the famous flap T rule in American English comes in.
Tell us more about the flap T.
The flap T happens when the letter T is between 2 vowel sounds. The T softens and becomes a light sound, or a flap.
The water sounds like waiter.
And go to the sounds like go to the. The individual T sound disappears into the flow of the linked speech.
This is a massive phonetic adjustment that B1 learners often miss, and it's why their speech can sound halting if they try to pronounce that 10 strongly.
And the third rule, adding intrusive linking. This is for smoothness when one word ends in a vowel and the next starts with 1.
So to avoid a choppy pause.
Exactly. We sometimes insert a subtle linking sound, often a Y glide or a W glide. For example, see, it subtly becomes see it, or go in becomes go in.
This whole phase prosody in real talk is the key to sounding effortless, which is really the definition of true fluency.
And this leads us to the ultimate tool for practicing all 3 phases at the same time, shadowing.
Okay, let's drill down into shadowing. It's mentioned constantly in language learning as the most powerful technique. What exactly is shadowing?
This is a crucial M2 technique.
Yeah.
Shadowing is not just pausing your audio and repeating. It's repeating what the speaker says just a split second after them, like an echo. You are tracking them almost simultaneously, copying their pronunciation, intonation, rhythm, and stress in real time.
So I'm listening and speaking almost at the same time. This forces my mouth muscles to move in the English pattern without giving my brain time to fall into the L1 translation trap.
You've got it. You're bypassing the cognitive part and directly training the production circuit. It boosts your listening skills because you become hyper-aware of linking and reductions.
And most importantly,
You train your brain to process and produce language simultaneously, which is the definition of fluency automatization.
okay, let's try the extended role play, the interpreter exercise. You play a speaker giving complex directions, and I'll be the interpreter, shadowing you by repeating and summarizing quickly.
Perfect. I'll be the speaker. Your goal is to keep up using simple words you already know. My topic, making toast.
I'm ready.
To make toast, you need to first make sure the toaster is properly plugged into the electrical outlet, and then you must grab whatever you intend to toast, such as a slice of bread or perhaps a bagel.
Interpreter. Check if the toaster's plugged in, then get bread.
Very concise. Next, after that, you'll need to adjust the browning setting to your personal preference. Place the bread into the slots and depress the lever to begin the toasting cycle.
Interpreter. Set the browning level, put the bread in, and push the lever down.
Perfect. That quick, forced summarization relies entirely on your ability to process the core meaning and retrieve simple, fluent English phrases simultaneously. That's the core of shadowing.
What are the collocations for this technique?
We emphasize that you must practice shadowing regularly. We talk about the shadowing technique. It's a dedicated shadowing exercise. It's extremely effective to record yourself shadowing for self-assessment.
And where should someone start?
You should always start shadowing with material you genuinely enjoy. A favorite movie clip, a podcast you love.
And the crucial nuance here is that you must do it out loud, focusing entirely on how things are said, the rhythm and stress, not just the words.
That's the secret.
So since our listeners are here right now, how can they leverage podcasts and other authentic content?
A structured routine is key. Our sources suggest the 5-day plan on one single 5 to 10 minute piece of audio.
Yeah, what's day one?
Day 1. Just listen for the overall meaning. No transcript, just get the gist. Day 2. Listen again, but this time, read along with the transcript, highlighting interesting words and phrases.
That second listen is critical. It forces you to match the complex, fast sounds you heard to the often counterintuitive English spelling rules. That improves retention dramatically.
Days 3 and 4 are for active production. Day 3. Listen to specific parts of the audio and practice shadowing out loud.
And day 4.
Day 4 is the springboard activity. You listen to the audio one final time, then immediately record yourself, summarizing the main points or reflecting on the topic.
That springboard forces active use. It takes those category 2 words, the words you understand but rarely use, and pushes them into category 1, the words you can retrieve spontaneously.
And day 5 is the self-assessment and reward. You listen one last time without the transcript and actively notice how much more you understand.
Beyond that plan, self-recording activities are essential. Why is hearing your own voice so powerful?
The simple act of reading a text aloud, recording yourself, and then comparing it to a native speaker's version is a fluency superpower. You will immediately pinpoint pronunciation errors, grammar mistakes, and rhythmic problems you didn't even know you were making.
It's objective self-assessment.
Totally.
Now, in the current age, we have AI tutors. How do AI tools compared to human tutors fit into this intensive training?
They are powerful complementary tools. AI language tutors offer high-volume 247 practice with instant objective scoring on fluency, pronunciation, and grammar.
All in a low-stakes, non-judgmental environment.
Exactly. AI handles the heavy lifting, mechanical drilling for automatization. It makes you fast and accurate mechanically.
And humans.
Human tutors, on the other hand, offer nuanced, contextual feedback, cultural sensitivity training, and help with advanced strategic communication, like preparing for a job interview.
So it sounds like AI helps you get fast and perfect, and the human helps you get sophisticated and contextual.
That's the perfect summary. Combining daily AI practice for volume with occasional human lessons for personalized insight is the optimal path.
Okay, before we get to the common mistakes, we have to tackle one of the trickiest parts of expanding vocabulary. Words that look or sound similar, but mean different things.
This is often called pancake panic in some language games, because the words stack up and cause confusion. We need to clearly distinguish the tricky trio: homophones, homonyms, and homographs.
Let's break them down one by one.
Let's start with homophones. This means same sound, different spelling, different meaning.
Like the classic two, two, and two.
Exactly. They sound identical, but their written form and usage are distinct.
Simple enough. Now, homonyms.
Okay, be very clear here. Homonyms are words that have the same spelling, A-N-D, the same sound, but completely different unrelated meanings.
So same spelling, same sound, different meaning. Like spring.
Perfect example. Spring can be the season, a metal coil, or a source of water. You must rely entirely on context to know which one it is.
And now for the term we teased in our quiz. Homographs. These are the sneakiest ones.
They are. They have the same spelling but different meanings and sometimes critically different pronunciations.
Let's spotlight this M2 term. Homograph. Why do they cause so much panic?
Because the pronunciation can depend entirely on the word's function in the sentence. Specifically, is it a noun or a verb? The stress pattern shifts.
Can you give us a concrete example of this stress shift?
Think of the word present. If I give you a birthday present stress on the first syllable, that's a gift, it's a noun.
Right.
But if I present stress on the second syllable, my proposal, that's an action, it's a verb. The spelling is identical, but the pronunciation and meaning are radically different.
That is the trickiest part for B1 learners. You have to hear the function of the word in the sentence to pronounce it correctly.
And that requires quick thinking and low cognitive load. The word entrance is another superb example. The entrance noun, stress on the first syllable to the building was small. The magic show served to entrance verb, stress on the second syllable, the entire audience.
The existence of these words proves that fluency requires listening to the rhythm and stress, not just the individual letters. What are the collocations?
We study common homographs. We do homograph exercises. We seek to avoid homograph confusion. We focus heavily on stress-shifting homographs. And we study homograph pairs.
And we should also acknowledge similar-sounding words that cause confusion, like accept and accept.
Yes, but a word of comfort. Don't obsess over these. Even native speakers make errors all the time, particularly in writing.
That's true.
Native speakers commonly confuse there, and there. They also use lazy contractions in speech, saying should have instead of should have, or deleting syllables, saying probably instead of probably.
So focus on the correct formal usage first, and the native speaker shortcuts will follow naturally once our fluency is high.
Exactly. Now let's move into our segment on common mistakes.
Okay, here's where I play the struggling learner and give you a perfectly wrong but very common example.
I am ready to provide the linguistic guidance.
Common mistake number 1, a collocation mistake. I need to do a decision about my career change soon.
The quintessential make versus do confusion. While you use do for tasks like do the laundry or do homework, the verb that naturally pairs with decision is make.
So I have to make a decision.
Yes, because make is used for creating or producing something new, which includes decisions, mistakes, and plans.
Got it. I will make a decision to stop doing a decision. Okay, common mistake number 2, a pronunciation mistake. I'm speaking too fast and not distinguishing my vowel length. I need to go board the sheep now. But I mean the boat.
Oh, that's a significant and potentially confusing error. The correction is the distinction between the long isos vowel in sheep and the short vowel in ship.
This needs minimal pairs practice.
Absolutely. If you say ship with a long E sound, you are suddenly talking about a woolly animal, not a boat. This error is common because many languages just don't have that distinct short A sound.
Crucial difference. Okay, final mistake. Related to connected speech. I'm pronouncing the T too strongly, breaking the rhythm. I want to have a nice cup of tea with a very strong aspirated T.
That strong T into T completely interrupts the natural stress-timed flow. The correction is to adopt the efficiency pattern. In fluent American English, the T in the middle of a connected phrase often becomes a light 8 sound.
A flap T.
Exactly. A flap T, especially when it follows a vowel sound.
So the fluent way is the reduced and linked, I want to have a nice cup of tea, or maybe I want to...
Precisely. Speaking, the T too clearly makes the speech sound hesitant and unnatural because it stops the linking. These flap T's and reductions aren't sloppy speech. They're efficiency patterns that enable native-like speed.
It's all about flow.
This has been an intensive deep dive. Let's fulfill our promise and give our listeners the pop quiz we teased at the start.
Time for the vocabulary check.
Okay, the question. Words that have the same spelling but different meanings and sometimes different pronunciations, like present the gift versus present the verb, are called what?
I remember you emphasizing that the stress shift is the key. They are spelled the same, but the sound can change. I'm going to confidently say homographs.
You absolutely nailed it. The answer is homographs. Understanding that distinction is fundamental for advanced listening.
Okay, let's quickly summarize the most vital concepts from today for our listeners to take away.
We covered 3 critical concepts. First, The need to avoid the translation trap by training your brain to forge direct thought-to-English pathways, which drastically reduces your cognitive load.
Second, the absolute necessity of the schwa sound for a natural, stress-timed rhythm. Without that little reduced sound, you can't achieve natural reduction in linking.
And third, the ultimate practice technique, shadowing. For simultaneous mouth and brain training, copying rhythm, stress, and intonation, not just the words themselves.
And here are the top 5 essential words and phrases we drilled into today.
Cognitive load, collocations, those natural word pairings like make a decision, enunciate, pronouncing words clearly, articulatory apparatus, the muscles of the mouth, tongue, and jaw, and stress-timed language, the core rhythm of English.
To put this knowledge into immediate practice, here is your micro-challenge for today.
Get ready.
Tonight, choose one small routine action you do, like making a cup of tea or organizing your desk, and describe it mentally, using only English, for 2 continuous minutes. Force your inner voice into that English-only zone.
Start small, stay consistent, and remember that persistence and physical training are the ultimate keys to fluency.
And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to Mastering English Podcast. Your support helps us keep these deep dives coming.
Keep training your brain and your mouth, and we will catch you next time.
I'm Alex. See you next time.
And I'm